Tech talent in demand, how cutting-edge research shapes future innovators. That's what we have in front of us to keep us busy for the next hour. This is a session that is organized in partnership with the Attract project. There are Attract representatives here in the room, so if you want to know details about the project, you'll be able to find some in the brochure, and by speaking to, where there's Pablo, there's Roy as well. Yeah? Those are the gentlemen in question. But in two words, the Attract project have started about 7 years ago, I believe, and it was about bringing together the world of research infrastructures, universities, and an industry association as well to find new ways to incubate deep tech product and services by using applying advanced IT, sensor imaging, detection technologies as well. So the cutting edge technologies to applied to deep tech product and services. The Attract journey has gone on for 7 years, and alongside the incubating activities, started the so-called Attract Academy. All right, this is our starting point now. The Attract Academy is about bringing together the technology grantees with students from across Europe and put them in contact or directly in the lab, in the research infrastructures, also with the participation of entrepreneurship professors. So it's about mixing very different worlds, and that's what is going to trigger a discussion about the importance of mixing this. What can we gain from mixing these different worlds together? But we have the coordinator of the Attract Academy with us, so she will be on the panel, so she will be able to tell you also more about the academy. So that's our starting point, and we thought that for a change, instead of having just a policy discussion, we're going to start with something slightly different. We're going to start with the students. So we have the chance to be joined here today by 3 beneficiaries of the Attract Academy who have completely different projects in different fields. They come from different countries as well, and so they're going to share with you their experience within the academy, what they've done since then, what they've learned, and how can they capitalize on this unique experience. So we are joined by Lucienne de Waal, Pau Jordan Oliveras, and Aaro Packalén. Yeah? I will give them the floor. They have 3 minutes to convince you that they have the coolest project, okay? They can't go beyond 3 minutes, otherwise something goes wrong. I hope we don't find out how it goes wrong, but something may go wrong, okay? So Lucienne, you're up, you're first, you introduce yourselves, I don't say anything else, but you have the difficult job of inspiring a very nice discussion afterwards. So Lucienne, you're up. Go.
When I was a kid, I was convinced that if I would go to university, I would have the ability and the knowledge to somehow solve all of the world's problems, that I could tackle all the environmental problems and societal challenges. But the reality was, however, that even though we could come up with a lot of interesting ideas in the academic world, I couldn't really apply them to the real world. And this is where Attract came in, because Attract bridges this gap for me. My name is Waal. Dutch industrial designer who graduated from IIT Barcelona. And in 2023, I did my first Attract program, which was TESI, Technology for Social Innovation, in which we tried to find applications for emerging European technologies. In our case, this was Hydra, which is a new type of photosensor. And during the research, we found that 70% of worldwide freshwater gets used for agriculture, of which 30% actually gets. And what we did is we implemented Hydra into a drone, which you can see in the image, that will then fly over an agricultural field and can detect the moisture content inside of a plant. And then, together with weather data, it can give real-time insights to farmers to know whether or not to water the field, and this will reduce the water wastage in the agricultural sector, as well as increase crop yield, so more plants can actually be grown healthily and fully. And this was quite a challenge for me coming from a design background, because it's super technological, but maybe even more so was that it was like my first experience working in such a diverse multidisciplinary team with people from different backgrounds, from business, from engineering, from law, from design. And we all came together to do this challenge, this project. And this was a very valuable lesson for me because nowadays I actually work in multidisciplinary teams on a daily basis. So this was definitely essential for me to learn. Okay. Last year I got a chance to do another Attract project, which was I2Planet, in which we travel to an exoplanet to learn from foreign life and to learn from how another world would work, to then ground these learnings into the challenges that we have now. In this case, again, water challenges in the drought problems that we have in Catalonia in Spain. And overall, I would just say that Attract has taught me how to go from a technology into practical, marketable solutions that actually work, as well as learning how to collaborate with people from different fields, opening up my scope and widening my view on every single aspect of my work nowadays. This picture is at Idea Square at CERN, and this was from the first project from Tessie. So this is the whole group of all of us. We went 3 days to CERN to discover and conceptualize there, which was an incredible experience. Pablo is also here. He was there as well. Are you in the picture, Pablo?
Yes. No?
No.
No.
No. No. Well, next time I hope that you'll be there, Pablo, on the picture.
Well, I'm Pau, and part of the Attract, I did a course and in which we tackled problems which are related to SDG number 3, which is health and well-being. And we also were given access to CERN technology related to radiation detection. So the problem what we found is that more than 800,000 people are currently undergoing cancer treatment in Spain. And a powerful tool doctors use to monitor how the treatment is going after you have been diagnosed is PET scanners, which use radiation to make a 3D image of the contour of a tumor inside your body by using a substance which clings into the tumor, which emits a slight amount of radiation, and this can be detected. And this is very powerful. The problem with this is that it's only available in specialized oncology units, and this is a problem for patients who live in rural areas and need to travel and wait for a long time. So what we thought is, why cannot we bring technology closer to the patients by developing a device which can be used in regional hospitals and can give quick results to doctors and complement the PET scanners. And the result was this prototype here. And we developed this by leveraging POSIX-2, which is a technology developed by CERN, which uses radiation detectors. And what we do is combine the 2D images that is taken by this sensor, combining it with motion data and in a portable device. And we think this could really improve the healthcare in Spain, for example. And this really was a transformative experience for me. We developed this idea in the course of 6 months. We talked to patients, doctors, imaging specialists, and also we got to learn at least new concepts for me, like human-centered design, design thinking, and also new ways to prototype. At the end, my favorite part of the experience was actually the last 10 days, which were in Idea Square in CERN. And after everything was said and done, we actually got to show the prototype to the scientists who developed the technology. And we grabbed a whiteboard and started thinking how could we improve it. And for me, really was life-changing, and it really changed the way I think about problems. So yeah, thank you.
I would like to start with a little creative exercise. I'm not going to ask you to close your eyes because it's been a long day already. But let's imagine that you are going through important papers, but they are a bit tedious, let's be honest. For example, like grant applications, regulation proposals, and so on. Wouldn't it be nice to have classes or a computer program that would automatically highlight the crucial parts of the text? Well, I know that sounds kind of like AI, But that's not too far from what we university students actually were helping to develop for surgeons without the AR part. Hello from Finland. I'm Aaro Packalén, coming from Aalto University Design Factory. Me and my teammates got to work with this H3D Visionaire Attract project. And more specifically, our task was to develop a light source for the augmented reality headset for surgeons that could differentiate tissues, nerves, and arteries live during the operations, making them safer and recovery time shorter for the patients. I was the project manager for a multidisciplinary product development team of 7 people. I got to manage and complete product development project in 9 months with 10,000 euros budget, communicate with and research the stakeholders and users, interview surgeons, study surgical operations, lead a team, and most importantly, learn how to interact with professionals from different fields. Christ, even in the beginning, like the mechanical engineers from my group couldn't talk with each other so that they would understand. Less even the designers, material engineers, business students, and electrical engineers like myself. Think about it. We got to learn all that from one course. But, to be fair, this could be done without Attract. Hopefully Pablo doesn't get a heart attack. It would be hard, but it would be doable with enough resources. What that Attract brings to the table is something much more valuable. On top of everything my wonderful co-presenters and I have already shown, doing an Attract project, most important for me, teaches us how we can actually bring change to the world. It showed us how we can search for the biggest societal impact for the technology and tailor our solutions to achieve it. It proved that it's not only about the technological achievements, but about the ability to search and find the bigger picture and how you combine and utilize new and existing things to change the world. Like the Scotch tape and pencil led to the graphite. In short, doing an Attract project showed me and my teammates, friends, that we can actually change people's lives for better and create breaking innovation from Europe. And that is a freaking addictive feeling, let me tell you. It changes everything, how you see your life. And we are changing it to change the world. And what is more important than that? Thank you.
Thank you. Well done to the 3 of you. Just maybe one question to you, Aaro. You were first a student and then you became a teacher, right, in the academy? Yeah. How was the transition? What did you learn from the other side, the teaching side?
As a student, your view is always a bit more focused, of course, on like what you are doing. And you don't really have the time, at least while you are doing, to think about the experience. So then, as a teacher, coaching 2 or 3 different teams after I did the project myself, kind of seeing what the students are doing and seeing the excitement when they realize that they have so much more options than what they are thinking when they start the project is something really cool. And then when you kind of see they're realizing that, then you also come back to your feelings during it and understand like how big of a chance it actually really is.
Very nice. Do we have questions for them?
Thank you very much for the presentations. I'm Frank from the University of Applied Sciences in Amsterdam. And my question is to all of you, because it must have been a transformative project, like you just said. And I was wondering what you do afterwards, when you've gone through this program and then you go to maybe the real world. So where do you go? Where do you go? And how do your new skills translate to your work now?
So what is the real world?
So, unfortunately, me and my teammates already had the future planned when we started the project, because for us at least, this was an elective subject. You really don't know what you get into until you're doing it. So me and my colleagues parted ways. Went to study abroad. I got lucky and I got the chance to work at CERN. So actually my experience there enabled me to see how things are there and just change the course of my life, because I decided I want to work here. But once you're there, you really see, okay, maybe if we had pushed a little bit more, maybe we could do something with it. And I know of examples of past teammates which have done so. So I really think it is possible.
Yeah, for me, I would say the project itself hasn't gone any further than it did in this moment, but my learnings definitely have. I graduated my bachelor degree last year, and so now I started working recently last 3 months in a IoT water management device company in Rotterdam. It's called Float. And there I am the only industrial designer. So I'm working on the physical part, but I'm definitely working with a lot of people from different fields. There are the internal components, there's the software engineers, there's the business people. So the learnings that I had from working in a multidisciplinary team have definitely translated into my life now on a day-to-day basis. And in the future, I still want to do my master degree next year. And it will definitely also be in something that mixes different fields together to create real impact. So, yes.
Okay.
Quickly for me,
Was there a life after the Attract Academy?
Yes. Well, for us, on our own project, the company that we worked with have been setting us update on how they used our product and developed it further, which was really cool. But we didn't get to be really part of that after we finished. But for me, like the multidisciplinarity is a big thing, and really learning to actually communicate so that other disciplines understand, and that's something that I use my work all the time in the Aalto Design Factory with the students and with the other faculty that we have. I'm heading to PhD right now, but after that, there's this feeling on me that has been since the Attract project that I want to start like some sort of company. Don't know what the technology is going to be yet focused on, but going to figure that out and something that can really, really change things. So looking for, something bigger than just like
Starting your own company?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We've taken note. Thank you very much. We release you. All right, good. So I'm going to introduce the panel, and we'll take the discussion a little bit. We'll move a little bit the needle and see what do we do with this real-world experience and this lab experience in the Attract Academy, and see how to translate that into policy. All right, moving forward, and also sharing some other experiences. So from left to right, we have René Repasi, who is a member of the European Parliament and shadow rapporteur on FP10. Next to you, Tore Lernes, the Prorector for Innovation at NTNU, but also the chair of the Expert Group and Innovation Ecosystem, right, at the European University Association. Next to you, Shreya Zikar, who is the coordinator of the Attract Academy and the head of operations at the Aalto Design Factory, right, and a member also of the board of Attract. And finally, Antoaneta Angelo-Vacra-Stevin, who is Director for Innovation, Digital Education and International Cooperation at DG EAC, European Commission. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to go straight in and try not to phone with this thing. We just heard some nice real-life experiences. Maybe Shreya, I'll start with you actually, since the Academy is the starting point here. Why do you think it matters so much to bring students in the journey from big science to business? What is there to gain? I mean, there are clear benefits, but what has motivated the Attract Academy and what is the end goal?
It's hard to say anything following up these 3 wonderful presentations where we've heard directly from the beneficiaries themselves. But I think Attract Academy kind of started as an experiment. We were seeing that is there another way of doing this within, how do we create this ecosystem where people kind of like just collide and we create this sort of a serendipity. But serendipity happens very rarely, so how do we make it happen more often? And that's where the students kind of came in. So we, in Attract Phase 1, we had a much smaller pilot. In Attract Phase 2, we aim to reach around 400 students, taking them to the research infrastructures and seeing what ideas they come up with. Because research infrastructures are very good at developing new things, but many times they ignore how does this come to society. and how does this actually create impact? And sometimes that innovation cycle takes several years. With bringing the students in, and they are already thinking of what other things can this technology do in society. So to give a concrete example, we have scientists working on a really small 3D printed sensor for detecting changes in a particle accelerator. And then we have a bunch of students coming in and being like, hey, this would be great if we implement it in a pipeline distribution system. So you know when you have leaks in a pipeline as it happens, so you're not wasting for gallons and gallons of water like to flow out, but you can actually intervene early. And this would be something that it would take years to come to that point. So that's what the Attract Academy sets out to do, is like to create this sort of like a real life experiment in a nutshell in university level, so that the students undergoing it come out with like really valuable life skills. And at the same time, the researchers also learn a new way of thinking with their interaction with the students. So it creates this sort of a lasting impact in that sense.
To Aurélien, with NTNU, I think that there is an agreement, right? A partnership between NTNU and CERN for that kind of experiences as well. What is your take on it?
Yes, first I would just like to say that it's really beautiful to see those students pitching their own, project and showing how they really take true challenges into their education. So congratulations with that. And I would just like to say that I think more and more of the universities now are trying to build educational activities that really challenge the students for real problems. We see that in, you mentioned CERN. Yes, we have students at the Norwegian University of Science of Technology that are going down there. It's from the School of Entrepreneurship and working with the results from CERN. But we also have a large amount of students working together with the industry, using infrastructure. We are now building for €1 billion a new Norwegian Ocean Technology Center, which will be a kind of crowding with the industry, students and researchers in order to solve real problems. So I think that having such centers that students can come into, meet the industry, work on their bachelor or master degree, with true problem, that is very important. And what we see is also that a lot of students are actually being hired by the industry and are employed there after their educational activities. And just finally, I just want to say also that we have, they mentioned interdisciplinarity, and I think that's very important. But we also need to have, the basic educational activities. We have heard a lot today about AI, about quantum technology, important technologies for the future. Yeah. So we need to educate the future employees, both with a kind of basic understanding, but also with entrepreneurial and interdisciplinary skills for collaboration.
All right, we'll come to the question of skills and complementarity of skills in a minute, but maybe a question to Antoinetta and René. Do you think Europe is doing a good job at, or is making the most out of initiatives such as the Attract Academy that brings together the world of higher education, of research or research infrastructures and industry, because industry is also part of the game?
Do we believe? Yeah, we do believe.
Do we make the most? Does the EU make the most of this,
this
experience?
Yeah, indeed.
Should we do?
We do believe that they do a great job, and we do believe there is always space for enhancing cooperation. But let me start first of all by congratulating these excellent students for the great pitches they did. Actually, I'd like to underline something that was already mentioned before, because it came out from all the three presentations about the skills and competencies and what they have valued from this experience: multidisciplinarity, meeting other people, working in teams, collaborating, working across disciplines. This is crucial. So let me make 2 points. First of all, because this is the whole philosophy behind the programs that we are managing, and I'm very happy to be in charge for the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, for the EIT, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, which are great examples actually to promoting this kind of interdisciplinarity, cross-sectoral approach. And what is very important is that they bring structuring effect on the various organizations which are involved in these programs. It is hugely important that actually they provide a basis for fostering collaboration between various actors. It is about the universities, but working together with the non-academic sector, so with the business, with the industry, with SMEs, with research organizations and many other stakeholders who are involved, and including the research infrastructure. This is hugely important, therefore the structuring effect is on the research infrastructures as well. Through our projects and programs, we see, first of all, MSCA as an example. What was already mentioned by the students, that they value a lot the collaboration and the opportunity to work with the non-academic sector. And this is actually facilitated, for example, by the MSCA. Some statistics, I think that around 1/3 of the MSCA fellows actually have such non-academic secondments. And then almost, I would not say 100%, but 96% are also satisfied and happy with the positive impact this has on their careers afterwards, something that was mentioned, what would be the skills and what will be the prospects afterwards. So this is hugely important. We have collaboration with CERN.
I have a question about Marie Curie,
yes,
the Marie Curie Skłodowska action. Is there any interaction with research infrastructures?
Yeah, this is it. This is where I'm coming.
Okay.
Just with some, sorry, it's a longer answer simply because there are a lot of issues which are involved.
Yeah.
And this is research infrastructures actually one of the actors which participate in projects. I think that right now we have 29 participations in projects of CERN. And also another example, I have it here, is the European Biology Laboratory. It is the European Molecular Biology Laboratory. So these are simply examples. Yeah. But it is really MSCA fostering collaboration with various sectors, including research infrastructures. And the EIT has another wonderful example. This is also very concrete because sometimes research infrastructures offer, or they have hidden value which is not known. And sometimes it's about giving visibility, making a better use of it, really making sure that we use the research infrastructures, what could be offered to design services and activities in support of companies. I stop there because much more could be said on this. If you ask me, there is potential always to have further collaboration through the various projects and opportunities that exist under these programs.
Very good. René, are you good? You're right with the weather? Yeah. Okay, good. You've been patient, so now it's your turn. What is your take on all of that? How do you think Europe can actually capitalize even better on these experiences, since we've heard that it's already we're already doing an okay job or a good job?
Yeah, well, that's the advantage of the legislator. We can easily criticize, and it's actually our job to keep the Commission sharp. So I will try to deliver on this one.
Let's not be too hard. There's a lot that has been done.
Once again, it is of added value for Europe. The European Commission is kept sharp. But I probably also think this is more at Commission at the President level than at the level of those who are working as a civil servant. Okay. Besides this point, thanks for this panel. First of all, indeed, these introductions that are highly impressive. That make me wonder: is this the rule or is it the exception to the rule? That would basically lead to some conclusions with regard to what do we have to change, what do we have to I think I should.
Maybe but maybe that's better. Yeah.
Do we? Just okay. Give me a sign. What is the better solution?
It's okay.
But on the top of it, let's say I mentioned here, of course, as European Parliament, but it might be better that Erasmus University Rotterdam would be mentioned there, since for a way longer time of my life I was A, a researcher, and B, a professor, still acting professor at Erasmus University Rotterdam. And only I am since 2022 in my side activity, as the administration of Erasmus wants me to declare it, a member of the European Parliament. And in that sense, let's say I took on this position as the shadow rapporteur for the FP10 report, since I wanted to bring in the perspective from the researchers' side, and maybe in that sense also the educators' side. And I believe, let's say, that's then the politician speaking here. Europe's only chance, we have this huge competitiveness debate. Europe's only chance to actually achieve something in this field is innovation, or if you want to take Schumpeter, creative destruction. We do not have the fiscal capacities, neither in the European Union nor in the member states, to keep up with China or the US in terms of public investments. So that basically means getting the most out of talent. This is where our only chance is. And I do have, at times, if I look at the negotiations, my doubts whether this is totally internalized. Whether it's totally internalized by national politics that start closing up universities. I could comment a lot about the Dutch government closing up universities. Austrian government in the making is going to the same direction. And we are entering a discussion on the next multifunctional financial framework where the money is distributed. And currently, my colleague Christian Ehler was here in the morning. I'm quite sure he was also speaking about this. We are actually fighting for the research and innovation money in the budget not being cut. In a situation where everybody who is analyzing the situation probably knows innovation, innovation, innovation. So we have to actually go into a different direction. Therefore, I do believe within the small frame given to the European institutions, we get a lot out of it. But if we want to stay competitive, then these stories we need to multiply by 1 million in order to get the ideas we need to disrupt innovation. So actually, the framework given to projects like Attract or the other project that we have within the European research environment, that must become larger and bigger, and more funds must be made available. We must give researchers the freedom to actually apply for research funding based on the research idea, and not with a lot of useless, unnecessary red tape. That's more the criticism to the Commission side, if I may add. We must indeed use precisely these ideas where there is a transfer of a fascinating innovation idea into marketable ideas. Later, we need to protect startup companies. First, they need to get venture capital, but then they must be allowed to grow so that they are not bought by American competitors and all the innovation goes across the ocean again and we lose it. So there's all a chain in there in order to get there. But examples like these are basically giving me hope that the innovation track is the right track and that we must look into deeper into it, how we can have all, in particular universities where the basic education is done, being in the team innovation, so that every idea that is developed at the earliest stage of young researchers can be promoted to bring us to the, or maybe multiple, creative destruction ideas.
Doreen, you wanted to react?
Yes, I think this was very interesting.
And you can keep it.
And I totally agree with you, because now we have had a very good discussion today. We have talked about the competitive compass, and we also heard Christian Ehler said that the compass gives the direction, but not how to get there. And what you are saying, the talents, the people. We have been discussing a lot about technologies, but who are going to develop the technology? Who are going to make the innovation? That is the talent, that is the people. So I think the union of skills, when you're talking about that, this is about how we educate the student, but also how we make excellent research to really transfer the knowledge and the people. They have mobility of the researchers from the academia to the industry, to the public sector, to really get innovation happening. And we don't make that happen if you don't have the people and the talents. So what you're saying is, I'm happy to hear what you're saying, and I think that that is perhaps one of the most important thing now, that really true competition will be among the talents and the people and the knowledge of these talents, because those are the ones to make innovation happen. So if we can concentrate a little bit more on that in the next framework program, I would be very happy.
The union of skills, that's something that was in the mission letter, right, to your commissioner, to the Executive Vice President Mintatu. It was also mentioned in the competitiveness compass. It's starting to shape. There are question marks around who exactly it's targeting, because there's a lot of emphasis on lifelong learning from what I've seen. So do we already have, can you already give us some flavor of what's in the works with the Union of Skills?
Indeed.
I would also be curious.
Yeah, absolutely. No, let me first start by agreeing with what you said, because I think that more than, I mean, we all agree that people are the greatest asset and capital that we have, and this is the fundamental. And coming from DG EAC, working on education and training, of course, this is hugely important for us to put the focus on people, education and training, and starting from a very early age. When we talk about skills and competencies, obviously they're crucial, and there are a lot of issues that are involved into the Union of Skills as an initiative. Certainly what was already announced by the President, obviously this will be a key enabler of the three pillars of the competitiveness compass, a key pillar, a key enabling factor, and there should be a more strategic and integrated approach. It's obviously, I mean, listening to you, knowing also the discussions, the reflections that we have, it's a very comprehensive issue. We have to look at the investments which are made in education and training. A lot has been made over the years. Is it enough? How we continue supporting the education and training sector in further reforming, adapting to the challenges, expectations, imperatives of today's world, this technological development, how we actually ensure that the skills and competencies that students, researchers, innovators acquire are actually responding to the needs of the labor markets from study to occupation, how to improve actually the conditions when we talk about retaining the talent, attracting and retaining the talent. So this is just to give a flavor of the complexity and the reflections that are ongoing in that regard. I think it's very clear that the focus, and it's announced in the mission letter, so this is already giving a very clear line. The focus will be on investments, on lifelong learning, adult learning, where we see that we are not actually delivering on the targets that we have, on mobility, on attracting and retaining talent. And this should not be seen in isolation also with other major initiatives on which the Commission will work, talking about the Startup and Scale-Up Initiative, another very important initiative for Commissioner Zakharieva. So things should be seen in an integrated manner. Certainly when we talk about innovation, the access to talent is crucial. Okay, I already mentioned several programs, initiatives. Of course, we need a lot, much more in terms of budget and support, and this is what we hear, of course, from the stakeholders. I stop there with the reflections on this point.
All right. I've got a full list of questions, but is there any burning question from the audience? Pablo, of course. He's the Attract manager.
So thank you, René, for saying something that is really hitting the point. That is Attract an exception or is the rule? Yeah. So in some cases, in some aspects, it's not an exception. In many others, it is. What it is, an exception? There is no European program like this. We don't invent projects for the students. We don't concoct projects for the students. They invent their own project and they manage their own project, and they are free to actually organize themselves as they would like to achieve the objective. The pedagogy behind this, you can imagine, I mean, is acquiring skills of management, decision-taking, organizing. And unfortunately, I must say that, as a very good friend of mine says, between the theory and the practice, the reality interposes. We have been hosted by the Research Infrastructure Unit all this time, that were very receptive, but I don't understand why the dialogue with DG Education is not as fluid
as the microphone.
as we would like it to be. It's a mysterious thing to me, because whenever we have started a dialogue, it's always like, oh, no, but we already have this type of thing. Maybe there is a syndrome of not invented here, which we don't care at all, because we are not here for the glory or whatever. We just would like a scheme like this that doesn't exist in Europe to scale up.
What is the added value of research infrastructures in this, in the collaboration skills as well? Because there is maybe a little bit of, and I'll be the advocate of the devil here, but are research infrastructures accessible enough? Are they part of an ecosystem where, any university, a social science university, do you think, you're a professor of law on top of everything, so, right? So is our research infrastructures a natural partner? Who wants to go first? Maybe Shazi.
You can
go
start.
and then.
So in our experience, I'll ground this kind of in the Attract context, that what we've seen while running the academy. So the research infrastructures tend to be, do I need to take this one? Thank you.
The mic, so.
So the research infrastructures tend to be quite closed up. Like, I know that a lot of the universities actually use this as kind of the marketing strategy for the students, that, hey, you're actually going to get to talk to a researcher. And from the other aspect of it, we've had to do a lot of expectation management to the research infrastructure people as well, because they are not used to students coming in and bringing in new ideas and challenging them, making them think about what they're doing. And that lesson has been invaluable. So more than training the students to understand this high tech and stuff, students are amazing. They're more capable of understanding technology than most of like the older people are. They are ready to absorb irrespective of what field they're coming from. But it's been coaching the representatives from these tech projects that's actually needed more of a mind shift change from them of how to collaborate with younger students. And that's been, so we've been collecting feedback as well from the students and the research and development projects. And that's been something that a lot of them have been really surprised by, is the quality of the contribution that the students have made to their projects. Yeah. That's something that they never imagined. They expected that some students will come and they'll have to babysit them, and why are we forcing students onto them? But at the end of it, that they have had a complete, like a lot of the projects, and a concrete example of this is that in Aalto, in the PDP project, we had students who were working with a graphene display sensor that was given, that this is a low electricity thing, a graphene thing modulates and creates colors, and you get a display. And they completely turned it around on its head and made it into a molecular sorting device that if you have holes in it and it moves up and down, it can actually sort things at a molecular level. The students actually applied for a patent for this as well. And then the company owns the patent now, and the credit goes to the students for developing this. So you're seeing real life,
real path,
real things happen here. In this. So, and it's like from the feedback that we collect, like we do it on a Likert scale, so it's a bit difficult to just put it to a percentage, but we have like closer to like, I mean, I would say like 90-95% saying that this was an impactful experience, part of their education.
All
and
right.
it's made them think differently. So
That's good.
Yeah.
But Toril, then I have a question for
Yes.
you, because EUA, you're the chair of the innovation ecosystem.
Yes,
Group.
and I just want
Do you have research infrastructures?
Yes,
at
I
home?
would just, because you asked first
Yeah.
about the access of research infrastructure.
Yes.
And I think that varies a lot among, the educational, the universities and so on. But at least in my experience and at our university, we have students having access to infrastructure in the hospital. We have students having access to industrial infrastructure, actually from the industry. And we have different kinds of possibilities. And we also have the complete city as a research infrastructure. For example, in the EU project Positive City Exchange, where we actually used neighborhoods as research infrastructure for trying out new technologies and so on. So I think this varies a lot among universities and what they can offer for the students. And due to the ecosystem of EUA and ecosystem group, innovation group, we have discussed a lot, and we have also made this EUA innovation agenda, which actually point out, we made a survey some years ago, and we found that working with competence, innovation culture, innovation capacity within the university in order to be able to offer the students better education, but of course also to transfer research into innovation faster, better, and so on, has been very, very important. And I think also in this respect, it's a lot of sharing of experiences between the universities, how we work, and this is very
But you don't
fruitful.
have any research infrastructures. I mean, you're not bringing research infrastructures in those discussions, are you?
Not directly in this group, but of course, research infrastructure is important for every university.
Yeah. All right.
actually, just to reflect on that a bit, because
Take the mic.
Sorry. Yeah. Just to reflect on that, because also in Aalto, and I know in a lot of the other universities as well, they do have this collaboration with the industry and with different sort of SMEs going on quite strongly. But access to research infrastructures still remains kind of very clouded. And even if there is a student group that gets access, it's always shrouded by like NDAs, or you cannot talk about this, or like you don't get to hear too much about the experiences coming out of there. But then that's something which, again, in the Attract ecosystem that we have, because everyone's a part of the ecosystem together, it's easier to have this sort of a knowledge exchange without having to enter into like long, complicated legal processes. So in that sense, it is, I would say, definitely having such sort of a model has made it easier in our experience to access the research infrastructures and talk to the scientists in a more open, engaged way.
All right. René, do you want? Yes. Then I'll take another couple of questions. I'm going to you.
I will be here once again, maybe a little bit of a disruptor and zoom out. I liked the way it was heading to when we had our rule exception discussion. And I would like to pitch in my own university experience. Now, I think Erasmus is a particular place. It has a lot of the features that you were also mentioning, having this enormous port, having this amount of entrepreneurs around, having with other universities like Delft and Leiden close by of different profiles, then trying to converge and trying things out. But more specifically, I believe innovation is not something you can train. I believe innovation is something you need to ignite. And therefore, it is about a mindset that we have at institutions of higher education. I don't distinguish now between universities and other actors in higher education. And although I'm a social democrat, when it comes to the relationship between education and research, I'm very conservative, very German, Humboldtian. To hear that a student has never seen a researcher in their educational life it hurts me down there in my heart and soul. Because the whole point of university is that a researcher goes out and teaches about their own research experience and gets challenged by students and ignites the flame of innovation with the students. So what we have now in dedicated institutions should be the general mindset at universities. I do know why it isn't there. We have this more Anglo-American tendency of separating these two worlds, thinking that would bring us to excellency. I personally think this is wrong. I personally think the opposite is true. But I also think if we have enormous demand on what a researcher has to do, the way of how universities are currently financed, if we look at the 24 hours, overall researcher that also has to teach and also has to do administration and everything linked to it, the amount of additional work that has to be put in order to get some crumbs from EU funds because national funds don't fund universities anymore. It creates so much frustration in the everyday life of the overall researcher that's also educating and having then to stand in front of mass studies. In my first year course on the bachelor, which I'm still teaching, we have 1,200 students. You have to manage exams under the stress of 4 weeks, 5 weeks bachelor blocks and grading and all this kind of stuff so that your own brain as a researcher is dried out. And then you still need to do research that is cutting edge and ignite the flame. Impossible. It's just impossible.
And then you're going to do innovation as well.
Yeah, at least on paper in order to get the funds.
At least on paper.
But
but
therefore there's something in our universities and the way of how our universities are managed to allow for this, to understand that research and education and their interaction must be the top priority and the rest shouldn't. Basically have mini attracts at every university. And then if we have excellency, I believe attract is something that can be excellency and can therefore be an example for others, for the rest of the higher education to go towards. So that there is this rule exception one, but that the exception can basically help us to shape the rule. Then actually we can find the talent that we need. Otherwise, we have frustrated researchers, middle-class educators, and students that end up as advisors.
Bernie, you are a shadow rapporteur on FP10, so mini attracts in universities, how would that work?
I'm afraid that the European Union is here at its limits. We can give some incentives to go into this direction, but when I speak about the mindset, it is the mindset. If I want to be brutal, I must say the neoliberal university must reflect its current mindset. We have currently a situation in which universities and researchers are put into a competition because everybody believes the market logic brings us to the best outcome. This is not true. The best outcome is freedom for creativity to evolve. And that requires national research ministries to give universities the freedom for creativity instead of putting more and more pressure and measuring everything and putting everywhere a number in order to get a little bit of the funding which does not grow, even lowering national funding and push them all to the European funding where competition is getting even bigger so that ridiculous criteria become decisive. This is simply not where it works. So Europe is, I think, doing its part. But the big part has to be done by our national colleagues, that they go into this direction, and we need the courage of university leaders to tell unanimously in a trade union of universities, I don't know, stop this nonsense. We are not getting played against each other. But that is more of a revolutionary step that maybe the socialist in me is dreaming of. But I believe it is a bigger question here. Yet we do have the incentives that there are, and we need to improve them. I believe that when we look at ERC, EIC, and other structures, we need more self-governance. We need the possibility of those who are on the ground to shape the programs how they are, and we need to allocate the sufficient funds to go in there. That's all the things that we are going to mention in the FP10 report. But if the change of mindset is not coming along with it, it is a drop on the hot stone.
Antonetta, do you see a home for mini attracts or mega attracts in future programs?
I would like to first comment on a few other things
Please
which were
do.
mentioned
We have
because
3 minutes
I
left,
found them, really very interesting. First of all, creativity, curiosity. Certainly, we do agree, and I would like to echo what you said, that this is something that needs to be instilled and ignite from a very early age, and just a promotion MSCA is doing it, really bringing researchers to school, because we do believe that this needs to start from a very early age, and this is the Researchers at School initiative. Also, the point that you made about the integrated approach, it's hugely important, and the scale. I can only echo what you said. I mean, the EU has certain limits. We are providing the programs, the initiatives, but without really seeing changes on the ground at member state level, then probably it would be difficult to reach our own ambitions. Therefore, there was a strong point made about cooperation, about speed and unity in further delivering also on the compass, on the competitiveness compass. About a home for the Attract initiative, I mean, it was mentioned that our programs are really based on excellence. These are the principles, the bottom-up approach. In particular, for example, MSCA, it's working and supporting researchers who are at doctoral and postdoctoral level. So master's level is not something that MSCA is funding. Having said that, it's very clear how our programs work, Erasmus as well, based on calls. So I would definitely encourage colleagues to look at calls for master's programs that are upcoming to see how to actually, whether there are any opportunities. NCPs, this is for us also very important. These are the national contact points for our programs, who know very well our programs, who can explain opportunities to further explore the possibilities.
All right. We have a minute left, so 30 seconds for a question, and Tore, you wrap up.
Yes.
Hold on. We take the question so that you can answer it.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm a big fan of Attract and also a big fan of the panel and the way you're heading. I just have a suggestion. First of all, there are several mini Attracts already, mainly at technical universities. For example, University of Twente, where I used to work as a director of the design lab, had something like that. But if you want to scale up on a European level, why not piggyback on the European Universities Alliances? Because now we have 65 of those. I think over 570 universities brought together under the European funding scheme. You could, maybe not easily, but you could change the scheme for the next round, so parts of Attract are included in the next phase of the European University Alliances. And then you have a lot of students to work with.
Do we have a solution? Torin?
Should I try? Yes, yes.
But you have 30 seconds because we've passed
Yes.
the time.
University
that's
Alliance.
then we can take the question out at
Yes.
the coffee break.
University alliances are quite important for collaboration within the universities and among the universities, but we are talking about how to make Europe more competitive. And I think one important issue is excellence. We need to do priorities to really be excellent in what we are doing, and I mean excellent in research. That counts both for the existing industries as well as making the new upcoming industries as well.
All right. They are, yeah, I think they are all finishing, so I think it's time for us to finish as well. So can I suggest we keep going with this discussion over coffee? Can you please join me in thanking this panel, who's done a very good job. Thank you to the three presenters as well. Well done again. The discussion can keep going for you as well.